Okay, artists, now we are going to begin making our sun and our planets. So the first thing we're going to start out with is a sun. You'll need a yellow piece of paper, and we are going to talk about the sizes of the planets and how they go from big to small and back to big again, and the differences in those sizes. Because right now you might think that all the planets are the same size, but that's not true. So we're going to start out with the very biggest, which is the sun. And what I'd like you to do is you're going to get one of these big yogurt containers and you're going to put it halfway on the paper. So I have half of my circle on the paper. And I'm just going to trace that half circle. So my pencil is right up against the container. I'm holding the container down. And now I have half a circle. So since the sun is our biggest thing, none of our tracers are going to be bigger than the top of this container. When we color our sun, I'd like you to begin with an orange pastel and just go around the edge of the sun, not on the edge of the paper, just the edge of that pencil line we drew. And it's okay if you go outside the line because later we are going to cut this out. So we're just going right next to the pencil line, and then we are going to take yellow and we're going to go into that orange, and you'll see that it starts to look a little smoother. And then we're going to go from the orange in towards the center of the sun. And that'll just help the orange blend into our yellow background of our paper a little better. And since I would like to know what this is, I'm going to label it sun. And now I'm done with the sun. I'm going to set that aside. Our next one is going to be Mercury. And Mercury is a lot smaller than the sun. It is one of the smallest planets. So we're going to use our smallest tracer, which is a marker cap. You're going to put your marker cap on the paper and hold it down and trace all the way around. This one's tricky because your fingers might get in the way. Once you have it traced, we are going to need a light blue, a dark blue, and a peachy skin color. We're just going to put some of the peach, some of the light blue, and some of the dark blue. And then you can use your finger to try to smudge them into the center. Try to make it look like a planet. Okay, and I'm going to label this one as well. Mercury. M-E-R-C-U-R-Y. Next is Venus. And Venus is a little bigger than Mercury, so we are going to go with our glue cap. And now we need peach. We need orange, and we need brown. And with all of these planets, we're not trying to make a picture. We're not trying to make it look like there's islands on them. We're just doing some random colors because from really far away, and you'll see when we do Earth, from really far away you can't see too much, and our solar system picture is from really far away. So we're just putting down the right colors so we know which planet's which, but we're not worrying about details on our planets. I'm going to do a little brown through the middle, and let's label this one Venus. Okay, and now our favorite planet, Earth. This is kind of the same size as Venus. I think Earth is a little bigger, but we're just going to use the same tracer because I don't have anything that's slightly bigger than the glue cap. So we're just going to use the glue cap again. And I think you guys know what colors we might need for Earth. We already have green. We're going to need dark blue. And then we're going to have some white for the clouds. And remember, green is what is the land on Earth, and blue is the water. So we need a lot more water than we do land. So let's go ahead and fill in a lot of blue on here. And if you'd like to try to make the actual shapes of the land that's on our planet, you can. But if it's not perfect and it doesn't end up the way you want it, don't stress too much, because we're just going to put some clouds on top and you won't even see that it's not the real shapes of the land. Put some cloud. And there we go. And I'm going to label this one Earth. Our next one is Mars. Now we're going back down in size. We're going to use the marker cap again. Trace. Okay, and now we're going to get out brown and gray. Now Mars is known as the red planet, and since our paper's already red, we don't need the red pastel. We're just going to do a little brown around the edges, because the brown is kind of like a red shadow, so it'll show that the planet is round. And Mars has a nice hazy surface, so that's what the gray is going to do. It's going to make it look like Mars's surface, because it's not just all red. And there we go. I'm going to label this Mars. Next is everybody's favorite giant, Jupiter. We are going to use our second biggest tracer. So our biggest tracer was this one for the sun. Our second biggest is going to be a single serve Chobani. So we're going to use the widest end we have, which is up here. Set it down on our paper and trace around the edge. Make sure you hold it down. If you don't, it might slip. And then we'll have a weird circle. For this one, we need white, we need peach, I'm going to use some brown, and I'm going to use some orange. Now I know that this is already orange, but the orange is a little bit brighter in the pastel, so it just kind of highlights it. I want to start with the white, and Jupiter has this very distinct circle down here. It's kind of an oval. So we're going to add that in, and then we're just going to go ahead and add some white stripes around him, because he is very stripy. And then around the white, we can do some of that peach to help it blend into the orange, just on the edges of the white. And if you see something you don't like, you can always go back in any of these with your colors. And keep in mind that it does not matter if we go outside the lines, because we'll cut these out later. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with my orange. And I'm just gonna bring out some of this bright orange in some places, not too many places, because like I said before, our paper's orange, so we don't really need too much orange. And then the brown. Now I don't want too much brown around the planet, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do little stripes. If you want a deeper section somewhere, you can go ahead and add that. And I like to add a shadow on one side of Jupiter to kind of make it look more round. And I just do that by adding a lot of brown onto one side of my planet, not both sides, just one side. Okay, and I'm liking the way that Jupiter looks, so I'm going to go ahead and label it Jupiter. Okay, we are almost at the end. We are going to be doing Saturn now. And Saturn is the second largest planet next to Jupiter. So the sun's the biggest, then Jupiter, and then Saturn. So we're going to be using this clear cup, flipped on its head. Just hold it down and trace. Oops, I missed a little bit. Then for Saturn, we are going to need the white, the peach, and I used a little bit of yellow, but it didn't do much, so I'm not going to use yellow this time. I'm just going to do the same thing I kind of did for Jupiter and add a lot of white stripes. We are using a yellow background for this, but Saturn is a very light yellow, so we want as much white on here as we can get because Saturn isn't really, really bright yellow. So we need to bring this yellow down with a lot of white and a lot of this tan peachy color. And once you like the way it looks, you can label it. Two more to go. Now we have Uranus, and I have this nice teal color, and we are going to be using the bottom of our clear cup now because Uranus is just a little smaller than Saturn. So use the bottom part of your cup. Make sure not to use the top again because then it would be the same size as Saturn, and we don't want them to match. Okay. And now I used a little bit of the light blue for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get my light blue. And Uranus is actually mostly this color, so we don't wanna put too much oil pastel on this one. Just a little bit here and there. And then I like to go back and have the white just to add a little bit of texture to it. But not too much because Uranus is a very teal planet. And once you're done, you label that one too. And last but not least, the last of our planets is Neptune. Now some of you may be thinking, we're forgetting one. What about Pluto? Pluto is a dwarf planet, so we're not going to include him because he is so teeny tiny that we don't have anything smaller to trace than the marker cap. So this last one is going to be a bottle cap, just a little bit smaller than or bigger than our glue cap. So we're going to go ahead and use this one. And we're doing the same thing we did for Uranus. Neptune is mostly this light blue color, but we're just going to give it a little bit of depth with this blue color. So just a little bit in some places. And that's that. And we're going to label it Neptune. Okay, now that all our planets are done, you guys can go ahead and take your pile and you're just going to cut them out on the line. Okay? As you're cutting them out, please make sure the name goes on the back. So I know that we wrote the name here so we know which one it is. So you're going to cut and then flip it over and write Neptune and make sure it fits because some of these are very tiny. You'll have to use your tiniest handwriting. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you had fun making the planets. Go ahead. Bye.